Okay, good morning, everybody. Actually, it's afternoon already, technically, in America. Although it's not yet actually afternoon because we're at daylight savings time. It's kind of strange to me how daylight savings time is most of the year now. And it kind of messes up our holidays, to be honest. To have Pesach, would be much easier to have the Seder earlier in the day if it wasn't for daylight savings time. And Yom Kippur, same thing, it would be much easier to end the fast earlier, quote unquote. I mean, we're still fasting the same amount of time, but, it is what it is. So it's technically not afternoon by the sun, although it's cloudy out. So how do we know that? It's not yet Chatzos, but it's 12:30 in the afternoon. I'm on my way to work. Sometimes my schedule has me a little bit later in the day. I start later and end later. Depends on the day. All this being said, it's not really the point. We've been talking about the daily devotions of the Orthodox Jew, the Hasidic Jew, comparing it and kind of comparative religion a little bit to daily devotions and other faiths. And my hope is eventually to give a whole commentary on the Siddur, make a series of Siddur commentary. But before we get there, we have to discuss the other aspects of the devotions that are not only verbal but also in terms of actions or clothing that we wear. I mean, the talis is clothing, and tefillin is not really clothing. But we discussed yesterday the talis gadol and the talis katan, and so now we're ready to discuss the tefillin. And so we said yesterday, tefillin are called in English a word that's derived from the Greek. It's sometimes called phylacteries. But as I said, that doesn't really help people to say, like Chef Dave on YouTube. I wonder what happened to him because he was really funny. Big rough papa. All right, it's not really so nice, but it's funny still. So Chef Dave, he said, the rabbi told the guy you have to put tefillin every day. And the guy said, "What's tefillin?" He said, "Phylacteries." Oh, phylacteries. So that's and then I said that there was actually, I had a refrigerator repairman come to my house. It was an evangelical Christian, and he was like, "Wow, are those phylacteries?" So he actually knew. He had heard the word before, and he didn't know what they were. So all this being said, there are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to tefillin. A lot of interesting things to discuss about the tefillin. Now, a lot of people, some of the things I've encountered when it comes to tefillin, some people, and misunderstandings I had about tefillin myself in my younger days that should be cleared up. So generally in the Orthodox Jewish world, Jewish men wear tefillin every weekday, and Sunday is also a weekday, but every working day. So 6 days a week on a regular week. Holidays, it's a different issue, and it's not so clear. All these things. Why don't we wear tefillin on the Sabbath and so forth? It's not that it's absolutely forbidden. It's more or less just something we don't do. For various reasons, and it's brought reconcile different discussions. Shouldn't we wear tefillin on the Sabbath and the holidays? But safe to say, we don't wear tefillin, not on the Sabbath and not on the holidays. I had heard a story of someone who, since he was not Shomer Shabbos, that he put tefillin on Shabbos because since he didn't have the ois of Shabbos, he wanted to have the ois of tefillin because he knew he was missing an ois. Which is really silly, and this is not really what is supposed to be done, but I've heard stories like this. So I myself, when I was younger, and my Zayde put tefillin on me for my bar mitzvah, showed me what it was. But I didn't have tefillin. And then shortly after my Zayde passed away, someone gave me tefillin, and I started to put on tefillin, and the idea of the tefillin, and I remember someone had approached me and they said, Joey, I remember it was in Glen Oaks on Union Turnpike. He said, Joey, I heard you were putting on tefillin every day. That's such a big thing, it's such a great thing. And I was one of my Zayda's friends. I don't really even remember who it was, but at the time I wasn't, and then I was like, well, if someone thinks I'm putting on tefillin every day, excuse me, I might as well start doing it. At first I didn't know you could put on tefillin without a minyan. I thought you only put on tefillin when you're at shul. I didn't know you could put on tefillin at home by yourself. When I found out about that, and davening 3 times a day, again, I thought that was something you only do with a minyan. I just had no idea. So the education that I got as a 13-year-old kid, it was pretty life-changing. And so I started to put on tefillin every day and praying 3 times a day. Even I was going to public school. I didn't live in a Jewish neighborhood, but by myself. Before I would go to school, I'd put on tefillin. And then it was like so convenient that when I started to go to yeshiva, now I can daven at school. I don't have to daven at home. That helps my schedule out. So that was, part of my memories. I'm here going to be passing by the Wayne County Fair area in a few minutes. I shouldn't have said that. I remember as a kid we used to go to the Wayne County Fair. Maybe this year we'll go. We'll see what our schedule's like. And I remember there was this guy, a Jewish guy, wasn't Orthodox, and he would sell these sepia tone pictures from old movies. And I'm an old movie buff, and I still have these pictures that I bought from this guy. I would just like to talk to him or whatever, and he said something to me. He said, I tried putting on Trillin. I think that's what he said. He didn't know the word tefillin. He said Trillin. But I didn't want to say all those prayers every day, to take 45 minutes every day. But people don't know. It's still a mitzvah to put on the tefillin even if you don't say all the prayers. And that's something else we're going to discuss. How much of the prayers do we actually have to say? Do we really have to spend 45 minutes every morning praying? Not necessarily. It's much better, as we're going to discuss, to have a 5-10 minute devotion than to not have anything at all. And to be aware of what's really important to say and say that. And particularly when it comes to Sukkot Zimra, it's not as important as people think. It's beautiful. It's something the sages praised. It's something I enjoy. This morning at shul, someone came in and he's saying, I'm going to leave. because we didn't have a minyan yet, and there was he was number 7. We're waiting for 3 more guys, and if he left, then we'd have no minyan. And our cantor just lost his wife, so we didn't have. He wasn't there, and so I had to lane, and I was like, wait, just stay, we'll get it done. He's like, I got to be in Monticello at 9 o'clock, and we're supposed to start at 8 o'clock, and here he is. This guy showed up at 8:15, and he's complaining that we're not on time. But so then I tried to accommodate him, tried to daven quick, and then someone else who's a very frum guy and a very, very spiritual person, he was like, oh wait, what's going on here? And he looked annoyed that we rushed through Psukei Zimra, but it is what it is. So you can't satisfy everyone all the time. But all that being said, let's kind of talk about something else. So we were talking about the tefillin. So you can put on tefillin by yourself. You can put on tefillin without a minyan. You can put on tefillin without praying, and it's still a mitzvah to put on tefillin. Question is, so we see how among Orthodox Jews, we make a big deal. The men have to put on tefillin, especially my good friend Rabbi Asher Meza. He made a video recently where he's kind of trolling some Lubavitcher Chassidim who are putting tefillin on people, and kind of just talking to them about what's tefillin about and so forth. And he asked them, can a Gentile put on tefillin? They said no. And he said, well, so then why? And so then they said, can a secular atheist Jew put on tefillin? They said, yes, of course, he's a Jew. And he says, so what? That, to me, that just sounds racist. But and he was pointing out there's a halacha of guf naki, which we've discussed in previous videos. And in addition to the halacha of guf naki, we also have a halacha of that the mind has to be clean when you're putting on tefillin. Also, you can't, And so, what do you think? What's this guy doing? He's putting on tefillin, and then just the nonsense of these Lubavitcher guys. I mean, first of all, it's disrespectful to tefillin. You don't know who these people are. You don't know what you're doing, and it could very well be highly now. If someone asks me, "Can I borrow your tefillin?" Yeah, I acquiesce, but you don't see this anywhere else. But Lubavitch going around to random people asking, "Do you want to put on tefillin?" And it's really kind of weird because, again, do you know who this person is? If someone asks me, "Can I put on tefillin?" It's a different story. But to go and offer it to someone, it has to be something that the person is ready for. It's not everybody is really worthy. I'm talking Jewish people are worthy to put on tefillin. That's the reason why we don't wear tefillin all day anymore, as was the practice in the old times, and certain pious people have this. Same question of women putting on tefillin. Is a woman allowed to put on tefillin? Really, technically, according to most opinions, yes, a woman would be allowed to put on tefillin. But because she's not obligated to do so, as opposed to a man who is obligated to do so. And am I saying that the secular Jew is not obligated to put on tefillin? No, the secular Jew is obligated to put on tefillin. But does that mean that he should? In from where he's standing in life. Does he, what point in life, if someone puts on tefillin and thinks it's like just some kind of magic thing, or if someone puts on tefillin for the sake of avodah zarah, and we kind of turn the tefillin to avodah zarah when we have this approach. The tefillin has to be a devotion to God, not something we do for good luck, not something we do, for some superstitious nonsense, and not something we do, it's something that we have to do for an authentic devotion to God. I've heard of people who put on tefillin, because pressure points and like acupressure, similar to acupuncture, and to develop focus and this and that. And now the tefillin might be a side benefit, a fringe benefit of the tefillin. And if that's the reason you're putting on the tefillin, it's a problem. It's not supposed to be the reason that you put on tefillin. And so if someone's intentions are not for the sake of God, and then these Lubavitcher guys, first of all, they're so ignorant of what the teachings of Lubavitch classically were. They're like, let's put on tefillin for Israel. We're going to do a mitzvah to help the Jews in Israel and this and that. And like, all right, one thing to help the Jews in Israel, to help the Jews who happen to be in Israel, but to put it on for Israel, your mom is giving over a mitzvah that's such awkward. It's which is something that unfortunately the Sfarma Kadesh I'm talking about, that we probably do more often than not, whether aware or unaware. So these are some of the aspects of what goes on. So what else can we talk about with the tefillin? Generally, we do wear the tefillin during the morning prayers, but what if you're not able to? You could put it on any time when it's daylight. But it's obviously better to put it on during prayer, because the sages say anyone who recites the Kriya Shema and prays without talis and tefillin on is ke'ilu made eidu sheker ba'atzmo. It's like he's giving false testimony about himself. Especially with the Kriya Shema that mentions that tefillin. And I remember myself, I had tefillin and I didn't have tzitzis. And I felt that experience, again, hearkening back to what it was like as a 13-year-old kid, going to public school and trying my best to keep Torah mitzvahs in some level. And 14-year-old kid, and what it meant, how I actually felt that experience of being made eidu sheker ba'atzmo. That I was, talking about tzitzis, and I didn't have tzitzis. I had tefillin, but I didn't have tzitzis. And I would touch the tefillin when I say Kshartam lo sal yadecha v'ayol teitavais benenecha. And I remember, being in Hebrew school. After school, we had a Rebbe from the day school, a very frum guy, and now he's an English teacher in the more Haredish school where his own children go in the community where he lives. And he would do after school learning with the public school kids. And he kosher German Adam Lent, Rabbi Lent, very fine person. Big tzaddik, very ehrlich, voilid. And I remember one of the other boys, one of the public school boys that we had, the Hebrew school classes after school. It was like Tuesdays and Thursdays, something like that. And like, it's like, Uk Shar Tom, like, it sounds like something a caveman would say, Uk Shar Tom, I don't know. I don't know why, it's just a memory I have as a kid. The way this kid could say that, It's like how, it's a really barked up bum, just memories. So then, learning about the Tefillin, learning about these different aspects of Jewish life, I don't know, but it is what it is. Now, as I mentioned, there are and I'm just talking about my memories of, not having tzitzis, and when I finally got to have my own tzitzis. And, at first I remember, my Baba, Allah Shalom, gave me my uncle's old tzitzis from, when he was in Torvadas, when he was, 4 years old or something, these tiny little kid tzitzis. And then, at first my mom wasn't so happy, but then she got over it, and she went and brought me to this farm store in Monticello, and bought me tzitzis, and, how excited I was to have my own tzitzis. So anyway, so the tefillin, though, it's something you're supposed to think about when you're wearing the tefillin. You're supposed to focus on the tefillin. You're not supposed to be distracted. Many tzaddikim who suggest that people shouldn't talk at all other than the prayers and study while wearing tefillin. I'm not on that level, but it's the right thing to do. And then there are actually several different types of tefillin that people wear, and many different forms of how the tefillin can be made. So generally, it's a pretty widespread custom to wear all pious Jewish men wear Rashi tefillin, but then there are many. It's a pretty widespread custom to wear the Rabbeinu Tam tefillin after prayers, or to switch them in the middle of the prayers. The Rabbeinu Tam tefillin, that the order of the parashios are different. I should explain a little bit more what tefillin are, but maybe I'll do that in a separate video. So. Not really necessary to do so, but it's a pious practice. And then some wear 3 or 4 different pairs of tefillin. The Vilna Gaon said, you could wear 100 different pairs of tefillin. You want to fulfill all the different opinions. So, but the most I've ever heard of is 4 different pairs. I know quite a few people who put on 3 different pairs, but that's very rare. And I myself, I put on 2. Some people put on the 2 at the same time. My wife's calling me, so I gotta go. God bless. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, all the best.